As a San Francisco 49ers fan, I would love to see the Niners win the Super Bowl, and for that, they need Jackson Powers Johnson. Aside from playing the Chiefs in their last 2 Super Bowl appearances, there is another commonality from those games. Their interior line was demolished by Chris Jones and company. A guy like JPJ can solidify the interior and shut down disruptors like Jones. JPJ is arguably the top center in this draft class and brings a ton of power, athleticism, and experience to the position. He also has a personality that would fit perfectly with the locker room and that fans will fall in love with. So if he's exactly what the 49ers need, they should draft him at 31, right? The problem is, they will likely have to trade up in the draft if they want to get him. There are a lot of teams that have center near the top or at the top of their draft needs entering the 2024 NFL Draft. According to Pro Football Network, there are about 6 teams the Niners should be worried about taking Jackson Powers Johnson before they're on the clock. If you are thinking, just look who has the highest and move in front of them, that isn't bad thinking, but the Chargers are on this list and I don't see them taking a center at 5. The last time a center was taken that high was when Bob Johnson was drafted 2nd overall in the 1968 draft. So first, we have the Carolina Panthers. Their first pick is behind us at 33, so no worries there. The first 2 teams the Niners really have to be concerned about are the Buccaneers at 26 and the Cowboys at 24. That would be a decent move up to about 25, but nothing that would cost the 49ers too much. Unfortunately, the other 2 teams with the biggest need at center are both picking towards the middle of the first round. We have the Pittsburgh Steelers at 20, who have been dying to fill Marquise Pouncey's shoes since he retired in 2021. And because the football gods hate us, the Seattle Seahawks are picking at 16. Both of these teams would love to add a player like Jackson Powers Johnson to their rosters. So, to get Jackson Powers Johnson, the 49ers will have to at least move into the top 20 and possibly to the top half of the draft. Finding a trade partner is easier said than done though. Every team has players that they are dying to draft, and a trade down increases the chances that they'll miss on that player. So the Niners will have to convince some team that moving back is worth the risk. That usually comes with an increase in the trade capital you are sending to that team, or you send them a quality player that fills a need for them. The 2 likely teams that will be willing to trade back are the Colts at 15 and the Bengals at 18. That is either a 13 or 16 spot climb. That is going to cost the 49ers a lot of draft capital if they want to swap with the Bengals, and possibly even Brandon Ayuk if they want to jump the Seahawks.
To figure out exactly how much this move is going to cost the 49ers, we have to turn to the good old-fashioned Jimmy Johnson valuation model. This model is a chart that every NFL team uses to assign a value to draft picks. It was originally created by Jimmy Johnson when he was a head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. This model assigns a point total to each pick that decreases the further that pick moves away from the first overall pick. For future picks, you would cut the point value in half and use that amount. So with that in mind, the 15th overall pick has a point value of 1,050, and the 18th overall pick has a value of 900. The 49ers' highest pick has a value of 600. That gap doesn't seem too far, right? Well, the 49ers' second round pick this year has a value of 276. Their third round pick, that is a value of 124. And the points only get lower from there. You also have to remember that the teams moving back are going to want a large overpay to justify moving back. So it is not as simple as simply getting exactly 900 points either. So to get Jackson Powers Johnson, the Niners will basically have to lose Brandon Ayuk plus multiple first round picks, right? No, that's not what we're saying at all. I actually believe that we have the perfect trade that will not cost the 49ers everything and their all-pro receiver. First, the 49ers should target pick 18 over pick 15. It is unheard of for a center to go within the first 16 picks of the draft. So I could easily see the 49ers banking on the Seahawks taking one of their top tackles or a top guard that falls to them. That means John Lynch and his team would have to target the 18th pick, which is owned by the Cincinnati Bengals, if they want to land Jackson. Next, selling the idea of a move back to the Bengals shouldn't be too difficult. They are in desperate need to find a cornerstone right tackle. While Cincinnati did sign Trent Brown, he should only be viewed as a bridge player, while a tackle with raw potential can sit behind him and learn. The Bengals could easily target Armirius Wims here. He got limited snaps at his time at Georgia, but he has a kind of physical potential that you can take a risk on, since he's standing at 6'8" and 340 pounds. Finally, it's time to make the deal. If the Niners aim for around a 20% markup on the 18th overall pick's value, that should be enough to convince the Bengals to allow us to make the swap and get JPJ. As we mentioned earlier, the pick is valued at 900 points. If we add the markup, that puts the Niners' target number at around 1,080. Obviously, they would have to start with pick 31, which is valued at 600. Then throw in next year's first, so that would be a value of around 300. That would put them at 900 points right there. Lastly, they could include their third round pick this year, which is valued at 124, and their fourth round pick, which is valued at 48. This puts the total point value at 1,072. This trade keeps a majority of the cost in this year's draft, preventing any shortage of future picks, and the 49ers will still have 8 picks this year, even after the trade.
If sending a future first-round pick is giving you bad flashbacks from the Trey Lance trade, I wouldn't blame you. Ironically, the Niners would be sending the Bengals the fourth they got from trading Lance to the Cowboys. There is always a risk when you move up for a prospect, but there's a big difference between JPJ and Trey Lance. The obvious one is that they play very different positions. But also, Jackson Powers-Johnson is nowhere near as raw as Lance was. Jackson has played over 1,300 snaps combined at center and right guard. JPJ has excelled in a zone run scheme before, as well as in pass protection, and can immediately take over the starting center spot from Jake Brendel. Brendel has been serviceable, but his pass protection plummeted last season. PFF gave him a 45.3 grade for the 2023 season. That was the 5th worst grade amongst all centers. He also gave up the 3rd most hurries and the 4th most pressures. JPJ would be an immediate upgrade over what has been a subtle weak spot for the 49ers. Being able to start Powers-Johnson in the middle of that offensive line will ensure the next time the 49ers face off in the Super Bowl against the Kansas City Chiefs, things will go differently.
The 49ers can add the secret missing piece to their offense that they really needed ever since Shanahan took over in 2017. Jackson Powers-Johnson may come with a large price tag, but this move will prevent Purdy from getting pressured up the middle, which will help the Niners get over that Patrick Mahomes-sized hump and net them their first Super Bowl win in about 30 years. Tell us what you think the 49ers should do with their first round pick. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. And until next time, we are the RFL Show. We'll see you in the next one.